So we'll try to get this done quick. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atcast, a podcast for the study of modern visual culture. I'm your virtual soup tuber, Soup.
Soup tuber. And I'm your goddess of high school, Renu.
This week, AT stands for Absolute Territory because we'll be sampling the summer 2020 season. It is a bit of a weird one, what with the coronavirus having serious implications on the anime production pipeline. But let's talk about what we've seen, which it really isn't a lot. So this is going to be a short episode.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, what have you been up to, Renu?
So I think last weekend we adopted out one of our cats, and I'm very sad. I'm happy but sad, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, she was very sweet. A really, really sweet Siamese. We found her starving and for some reason declawed but no microchip, and we raised her up till she filled out. She wasn't skin and bones anymore. She was clean. Very, very she wasn't too super friendly with the other cats. Mostly really quiet, but she would meow for pets and stuff like that. And she would kind of reach out with her little paw and tap you whenever she wanted pets, which is so cute.
Oh.
And, you know, sit on your lap when you were, at the computer or whatever. And she would sleep with me every night, and now I'm really sad she's gone.
No, that's the best.
I know. She was so adorable. I was gonna adopt her myself if we didn't find, a suitable, adopter for her, but we found an older woman who's a grandma who has other cats, and she was a total cat lady, so we were we wanted a nice quiet cat lady household kind of deal for her. So yeah, that's she's gone now.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what we were up to. Otherwise, we've been looking for a new place to move into.
Of course.
And that's been an adventure. Places literally getting snapped up within days. So it's been really hard just finding anything that met our requirements and then getting it in time. So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, you have been trying to make me into a VTuber, which I'm not sure how to feel about.
All right. Hear me out.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Virtual Swan is so good. It's so good. It would be so good. Listen, people love the Goose game.
This is an extension of that Untitled Goose game.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Untitled Swan streamer.
Yeah. It'd be so good. Listen, all I'm saying is that Renu has the potential to pull them big numbers with the Swan avatar. That's all I'm saying. Your whole shtick is already set up. You have a perfect VTuber voice. You do a podcast, right? You do participate in the creation of a medium that is primarily sound. You might as well add some visuals onto your stream so that people know that you are a swan.
Well, I've achieved my true,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll know finally what I look like IRL.
Mm-hmm.
What about your streams, though? What if you were just a floating bowl of soup?
Don't worry, it's a work in progress.
Is it?
It's mostly so. That is a funny story, actually. Where I was, because recently I've fallen deep into the VTuber well. I've fallen deep and terribly into a well from which I cannot return. And So the thing about it is that I was talking to my friends about this, obviously, because it's all I've been doing recently, and my friend was like, well, you should VTube, but as like a bowl of soup, as like a joke. And then one of my other friends was like,
yeah,
but what if? But what if I did that for realsies?
Right.
And so he essentially picked up the free trial of Live 2D and was just like, what if
my God.
What if I made a soup? And we've kind of been in the process of trying to figure out how to make this work. It's all quite complicated, but it's surprisingly robust.
Is it?
I mean, it's not like it's gonna be that complicated, because like a bowl of soup doesn't have that many moving parts unless you want to add liquid like physics. And
that's what I was wondering.
And at that point, like, that's maybe too much, right?
But it would be so good if you could somehow come up with a really simple liquid animation that would slosh it back and forth whenever you tilted your head.
Yeah, but at that point, like, the R&D for that would, like, I would need to go to someone who actually can animate, which my friend cannot. Yeah. He just kind of picked it up on a whim. And Live 2D is quite a complicated program, actually. But yeah, no. I mean, I've thought about it. I am in the process of looking at, new computer parts to get a computer. Maybe I can start streaming too after that. Yeah. So, yeah. On that note, like, why not represent my face with a bowl of soup? Why not?
I think that would be wonderful, because then you would be the soup tuber.
Yeah, I would be a soup tuber. It'd be really funny. Yeah. It's like, all right, on the list of people that do VTubing, it's gonna be like cute girls who are idols, and cute boys who are idols, and whatever the fuck this is.
The soup.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Okay. On that. Anything else?
That's it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is, if you wish to see Renu as a swan VTuber,
oh no,
all you have to do is send us your support for this idea, either on our Discord server or on our Twitter
Don't rope
page.
our audience into this. I don't like that.
I'm just saying, they would support you. I know they would. I would show up.
I feel like they would.
Listen, I would forsake D&D every Friday just to come watch you if you
no!
if you did this.
I feel like the audience, if they were supportive, it would be out of the kindness of their hearts rather than it being an idea that I should carry out.
You should do it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. So, on my end, I've moved recently. I'm in a new living situation. Back with my parents. I told you that there's been a bit of a weird situation in terms of our living arrangements. Now we're all consolidated in the same house, and it's just, it's living with your parents. Like they leave you alone for the most part, but they have like no sense of privacy or personal space.
Yes.
It's just like, well, this is my house. I can walk into your room whenever I want, which is like...
Correct. Don't ever lock your door, punk.
Right. It's very much just like, doesn't matter what kind of schedule you have, it's my schedule now. We're going off of my schedule. It's like, well, okay, I guess I'll just, tell my friend to fuck off, so... Yeah, but what's very interesting, though, is when we got here, I learned of the fact that my parents have been, for the last month or so, been taking care of a stray cat that we found, that just appeared outside of our door one day and like just kept staring in. So my mom fed it, and then now it lives here basically.
Bro, cats for days, dude. Both of us.
Well, I was. Yeah. It's really funny that like a lot of people I've been talking to have been kind of talking about like cats and like getting cats and
yeah.
You were obviously talking about the situation where like you're picking up a bunch of stray cats that people just kind of let go. Well, we picked up a stray cat that we just kind of found, or rather, it's maybe more accurate to say that the cat adopted us.
That is how it be.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because like, so he had a collar, which is how we knew he wasn't just like a stray. That he like clearly, and he was like very friendly.
Sure.
But essentially like and at this point everybody in the neighborhood is kind of privy to this because he just kind of wanders around buttering himself up to all the neighbors. And
oh my goodness.
Right. And he basically so basically the entire neighborhood has tried to contact whoever owns this cat and has even gone to like the address on the collar, but they can't find them. Like we can
What do you mean?
we can see the house from over here, but they like just don't answer. So
what?
So basically, like they don't answer the phone calls, they don't answer the door. Basically, what my parents think is that like that house belongs to like an old person who got hospitalized or something, or is otherwise like kind of unable to like be in the house, which makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of the homes here are owned by old people. It's kind of like a quiet suburb area.
So you guys don't see any activity in the house?
Not as far as we know, and it's not just us that have tried, right? It's like the whole neighborhood.
Right.
But yeah, like nobody can get into contact with whoever owns this cat. So now he's our cat, kind of, which is funny because like we didn't intend to take care of a cat, and I don't know if we necessarily still do. So we have a very like weird relationship where like he just kind of comes in and out of our house, and like we have to leave all the doors open in case he wants to come inside, because like we don't have a litter box, so if he needs to pee, he's got to do it outside.
Wait, so you guys leave your front door open too?
Not our front door, our back door into like the backyard.
Oh, okay.
But like there's very little difference really. Like
right.
It's only a matter of time until like a lizard slips in or something.
Oh well, I mean the cat might end up hunting it if that's the case.
Right. But it's very interesting because like he just like doesn't really leave here that often. Sometimes he just disappears for short periods of time. We presume that's just him checking on the house to see if like anybody's there and then returning when there's nobody, which is like kind of sad. But yeah. So for the foreseeable future, we have a cat.
You guys are taking care of this cat. That's nice.
Yeah, it's so funny because I knew exactly what would happen when like the instant we got a pet, because we moved out of the apartment, so now we can have pets, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not that we intended to have one, because like my parents have other sort of financial concerns right now, and a pet is quite an expensive thing to take care of, but like we just kind of take care of this cat, and like if he gets sick or hurt, like we really can't do a lot about that because he's also just not our cat.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, we just like feed him when he gets hungry, and he like sticks around the house, and I don't know, it's a very positive presence in my life personally.
Sure. I've always thought that you would make a great cat parent, because you adore cats so much.
I adore cats. I spent quite a lot of time with Philip.
Yes, Philip.
Yeah. I will say like it's a little funny because like it means that sometimes at night I just have to leave the door open in case he wants to come in. He usually doesn't want to come in. Like he usually just wants to hang out outside in the living room. But what if he wants to cuddle?
I mean, it is also a matter of principle, at least in our house, that whenever a door is closed, the cat wants it open, even if the cat doesn't necessarily want to go through the doorway.
Wow.
They'll like sit there and they'll meow at the door, or if they're really desperate, they'll claw at it. So we have to leave all the doors open.
That's so funny. The cat, I think luckily for us, the cat is so like ridiculously chill. We think he's a little older, but I think he might just have spent some time outside, which is why he looks like that. I don't think he's that old.
Right.
But he he just like doesn't really whine about anything.
That's nice.
And like he doesn't really try to run away if you like walk towards him. He'll complain a little bit if you pick him up initially. He'll just go like, eh, but then he'll just let you hold him.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, like this cat, I don't think he was abandoned or anything, because like this cat obviously is very friendly, and very receptive to people. So probably just something happened to his owner, which is unfortunate. So we're just hanging on to him until I don't know, somebody is just like, "Hey, that's my cat," and we're like, "Cool,
right.
you can have him back." We'll cry a little bit, but like it's funny because I exactly knew this would happen when we got a pet, but my dad fucking loves this cat, except he hates the fact that he's super allergic to cats. So he'll like buy the cat. He bought the cat like a cat house to stay outside in.
That's so cute. Yeah.
And he'll like go and pet him when he sees him, but then he'll like complain the rest of the time, like, "Oh, the cat! I sneeze so much when I come downstairs." It's very funny.
Your poor dad. Loved the cat so much, but is also allergic to the cat.
Yeah. It's very much like that. But yeah, that's kind of been the biggest thing in my life right now, which is this cat that has.
That's so sweet, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think he's still getting used to me being in the house because like I'm basically the newest addition.
Oh, so he was there before you were there.
Yes, he was living here before
That's
I was.
funny.
Yeah, he only ever like whines a little bit if he wants to go outside, and he just stands at the door and like stares, and maybe maybe like a little bit like a. He's very quiet. He doesn't purr a lot either, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is old. I don't know.
Some cats just have very, very quiet purrs. Like, you really don't notice them until you have, like, your hand tucked under their chest or their throat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like you have a really nice, relaxed, easygoing cat.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just immediately kind of barrel roll into talking about anime? There's really not a lot, so this is again gonna be a very short episode.
Yeah.
First on the docket is Fruits Basket, which I mean, like, what do we have left to say about Fruits Basket until it ends, right? Like, obviously, like we love Fruits Basket, but if you think about it, like it's been coming out nonstop for the last like year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'm
like,
happy about that.
Whatever we can talk about has kind of been covered until it ends.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I do think it's interesting that they haven't taken a single break. They just kept going, and you know that's great. They're plowing through the story. There's a lot of story to get through.
You know, it really does. It really does. I do like the fact that it's basically like we'll finally do the whole story. Now I hope they do it for Oron, right?
Oh my freaking god, yes.
Like, I remember going back and reading the manga for Oron because I was like,
yes.
I gotta finish this.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Fruits Basket, really.
Yeah. Right. I think at this point in the story, she's finally officially met all of the zodiac animals. So that's something. We're approaching a point in the story.
Right.
Like, kind of, I don't even know how far into it we are, but we've definitely made a good amount of progress now that she's met all of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about God of High School.
Yeah.
So God of High School is the next in a list of shows that are produced by Crunchyroll, and it's pretty good. Like,
it's actually really competent. Like, not gonna lie, it's great.
It's very well made.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the animation is a lot more dynamic than Tower of Gods was. But
right.
It is telling a sort of different kind of story. Like, Tower of God is this like really slow burn kind of like weird world building fantasy story, and God of High School is the shonen tournament arc in long form, right?
The whole show.
Yeah. It's basically based off of a webtoon, and I have no idea what the webtoon is like. I've never actually read the webtoon. But this show doesn't explain anything to you. Like, even a little bit. It just says, okay. Like, I kind of love how blasé about everything it is, because it's literally just like, okay, so they're high schoolers, kind of, and they're fighting for sport because, and you're like, because what? Because. And
to be the god of high school.
Right. Like, nothing about the tournament itself is actually explained, like what the prize is or anything. As far as I can tell, I have no idea what the hell is going on.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I guess I don't
how
have to.
far you're right. It leans so far into the fact that we've seen a bajillion shonens with tournament arcs in them that now that they've presented us with the situation, they don't really have to explain much of anything for the audience to just follow along.
I mean, yeah, they get you with the barest minimum they can get away with. They're like, all right,
exactly.
This apparatus is hit points. Fucking go. And like the wildest part, right? The wildest part, right, is that like it starts with a guy decimating an island with his palm.
Yes.
Right? And then you kind of forget about that in the wackiness of the ensuing scenes. And then the first time someone pulls out a stand, you're like, what the fuck? You're like, wait, what?
These are high schoolers with actual superpowers, and then the staff has actual superpowers, and we're just here to watch it all.
The progression is so absolutely bonkers. Like it really went from like you got like this dude, he knows karate, this girl knows how to use a sword, she has like her family technique. And then someone is just like, what if I pull out my stand real quick? And you're like, what are we doing? Like someone gives somebody like power laced fruits and you're like, what is happening? It's absolutely bonkers, but fun, like in a fun way. It's like super fun.
Yeah.
I think the pace is a little disjointed, like it doesn't feel like a continuous narrative of anything.
Yes.
It's very like choppy, but I do have to say the dynamic sort of animation is kind of enough to elide that part. Like it's just kind of like a hype, like watch people beat the crap out of each other. You know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like a story that was just crafted to be fun, and they don't necessarily know everything that they're doing, but that's okay. They're just gonna go with it, and maybe it'll just progressively get better.
Yeah.
I imagine it will, I hope.
So, I suppose we can talk about Deca-Dence now, which I think might easily be the most interesting thing that's airing today.
Interesting is definitely the word to describe it.
So, here's the thing about Deca-Dence, right? I was initially kind of like enamored with the art style of it. I cannot place what it reminds me of, but it reminds me of another anime that I've seen like in the last couple years. But the animation overall is like really quite good. It's a little sad. Yes. It's a little sad that we have to watch it on Funimation, on Hulu, so the quality like just blows. Because it's very dynamic and fun to watch. It's animated like very, very competently by Studio Nut, I believe, which did like Saga of Tanya the Evil. Pretty good. I like the character designs a lot. Like they're very simple, but they have like you know what? That's what I like about it, is they're very simple character designs, but they all have like shapes to them. Like they have very distinctive silhouettes.
Yes, very clear silhouettes.
Which is helpful because they spend a lot of time moving in the air, like Attack on Titan. And actually, there's a lot of it that reminds me, at least in the setup, of Attack on Titan and Kabaneri and kind of other shows like that. Like I like this sort of post-apocalyptic, mega city vibes. It kind of reminds me of Gargantia a little bit. In that respect. Even a little bit like Darling in the Franxx, the parts that don't like blow.
The way that they set up the whole world definitely feels a lot like that.
Yeah. It's very interesting, and I like that kind of aesthetic a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And then like So like episode 1 spends all of its time like setting that kind of stuff up, and it does quite a good job because it's pretty entertaining to watch. And then episode 2 just goes off the rails.
Episode 2, you feel like you're watching a completely different anime until like you hold out hope the entire episode that they'll somehow wrap it back around, and they do. Credit given, they do.
They do
that,
yeah.
Just that, and you understand at the end what they're doing, but why though?
Well, so this is what's interesting, right? Is that it poses so many questions that I want, like, so many questions kind of bubble up in my mind watching this show, where I'm like, what is this about? Why is it like this? Like, I will say this: they made a choice. They certainly made a choice of how to write their story, and you know what? I respect them for it. I gotta say,
yes.
Like,
they took ownership of their own property and decided they were going to go the less traditional route.
Right. If Ruby is a show that like just doesn't make a choice ever about where to put its story, like Deca-Dence is one that just does it immediately. Like it just goes, skirt Tokyo drift that sucker.
Yes. I still have mixed feelings about it, but I am here for the ride. I'm really interested in seeing where it goes now that it has made its very clear decision.
Right. Well,
yeah.
So I will say this, having watched I think 4 episodes at this point. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I know I told you which one we watched last, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But the last episode kind of is interesting. It moves the thematic discussions in a direction that I didn't necessarily think we were going to go to. But it's hard to say, because like the setup is that they all live on this big moving city, and they have to kill alien bugs to get the power source for the city. But then it turns out that there's like AI robots that live in like the higher part of the city that control everything, like it's an MMORPG. Like they control the people who go out and hunt the bugs, so it's like a live MMO. But you can die. But obviously the pilot, the AI pilot doesn't die.
Right.
And the setup of it is like so odd, but it's also kind of interesting because you have suddenly a structure where you have a show that is post-apocalyptic in aesthetic, but it is talking about kind of themes of like security and obedience, and in a weird way it's like it, and this is kind of only a couple episodes in, right? So I don't know how much further this is gonna go, but it seems to be talking a lot about disability and how that kind of plays into a system that doesn't account for them, right? Because the child that is trying to learn how to be a warrior, trying to learn how to like become one of the hunters who like hunts the bugs outside, is considered dead by the system. She's like what the system, like the AI that controls the whole system would be a bug, right? And I mean, on top of that, she also has a physical disability where like she's missing her right arm, and the episode 3 kind of turns it into a it kind of shifts the focus onto that character a lot, where she gets outfitted with a robot arm that can shoot the cool spike thing, and suddenly instead of like being disadvantaged at that, she actually like maybe even has like an advantage. And the kind of like old grizzled mentor guy sees the fact that she is not like normal, quote unquote, she's not considered by the system, not a part of it, integrated into it, right? Is like, what potential do you have to revolutionize the system? And that kind of is like what can we learn from like neurodivergence, and how can we accommodate that in a system that doesn't consider them, right? Like the thing about like what we would consider like neurodivergence and like, you know, quote unquote mental illness, you know, that kind of stuff, is those things only exist in the context of our society, right? Like things like things like depression, right? Kind of obviously they exist as like a thing that's happening to you. Like it's obviously like a real thing that's happening to you, but you know, it's considered a disability because it impairs your ability to work. And in a society that values the idea of work, that's why it's a mental illness, right?
Right.
Because like if you were just like, I don't know, some farmer's wife that all you had to do was like, you know, knit and stuff. I mean, not that it's not hard work, obviously, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, soft labor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that kind of stuff. But like, you know, but something like depression doesn't really affect you as much if you don't have like a 9 to 5 job that you have to be at every day, right? It's that kind of routine. And of course we can have discussions about whether the system itself is something that creates those things. And I mean, I'm gonna say probably yeah. Like, I think a culture of overwork is naturally going to make people depressed. But yeah, so those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about in regards to Deca-Dence, and I'm interested to see where it goes with that, because it has some real potential to say some things, and I hope it does. I hope it does.
I hope it does too, because they set up a really interesting. They spent all of episode 1 setting up the world and also the main character's narrative. And then the second episode was about her mentor's narrative and his world, which is a little bit separate from the original one that we were setting up. And it seems like the story is just going to continue from there. And yeah, I think they'll definitely have, I hope, a really strong narrative for the two main characters.
Yeah.
I don't know where it'll go, considering how different episode 1 and episode 2 were. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Did you watch anything that I didn't watch before we like move on? Okay. So I set out to watch a bunch of stuff and I couldn't find it in me to like bring myself to watch any of that stuff. But I did start Rent a Girlfriend. Which is a show about a guy who rents okay, Renu.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
This show is great.
What do you
mean? This show is legitimately amazing. In exactly the kind of trashy way you would expect it to be.
Okay.
So, do you remember Oreski, right? The show with the bench?
Yes. Yes.
It has hard Oreski vibes.
Okay.
Where, like, everything is kind of a mess all the time, and the characters keep making it more of a mess. And it's, like, the kind of engineered clusterfuck that is, like, so, like, it's just so fun to watch, because you're like, oh, these characters are, like, digging themselves into a hole. You're like, it keeps happening, right? Like, obviously, there is something to be said about, and I probably will touch upon this because I think I'm gonna finish this show. There's something to talk about in regards to the whole concept of like, you know, renting people, whether to be your like significant other or otherwise, right? You know, there's obviously a discussion to be had about that, which I will gladly have at the end of the season. But like it's such a disaster because like the characters just like cannot not make things worse for themselves, and it's kind of amazing. There is obviously the level of like the main character is kind of a douchebag, and like his arc is supposed to be like learning to be not as much of a douchebag, and it's pretty clear that he's like set up to be like a harem protagonist, which is like whatever, you know, I lived through the 90s and 2000s, like that's nothing new to me.
Right.
And he's supposed to be at like equal parts like incredibly off-putting and vaguely sympathetic. And you kind of get that in equal measure. It balances kind of well. And you know, to the point where you're like, this guy has like maybe enough redeeming features to like redeem himself, and at the same time you're like, he's like such a trash fire, but like in ways that are very, very not like, he's not like the worst person, right? He's just kind of a doofus.
Okay.
Right? It's like, obviously, he has to like drink some respect women juice and all that. And he has to realize that, relationships are not the sort of end all be all of life. But hey, that's like a romantic comedy drama in a nutshell, right? Like all the tension comes from that, and the tension that is created in this like web of things that are happening in this show it's primo entertainment. I cannot say that I'm not entertained. It's so fun to watch.
Oh man. Well, I mean, it sounds like the kind of show where if you're if you're looking for a bit of a dumpster fire, then it is. It's ready for you.
I mean, it's the kind of show that will self-select for the people that will enjoy it, right? Like,
right, exactly.
If you read the description and you're put off, well, you're not gonna like it. If you read the description and you're like, well, that could be fun, you're gonna fucking love it. It's so good.
Right. All right.
Yeah. It has what I will describe as a the signifying art style of this generation of anime. It looks like so many of the other rom-com dramas that are happening now. Stuff like Bokuben and not necessarily like Otosuki. Otosuki had its kind of weird quirks to it, but like, yeah, like anime just kind of looks like this now. I'm not like against it necessarily, because I do think it looks all right. You know what? It's the Nisekoi era. That's what it is. Anyway, that's my shtick about Rent a Girlfriend. This is exactly like a turn your brain off and just like laugh.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
It's primo. Chef's kiss.
Quality,
Mwah.
turn your brain off.
Chef's kiss.
Content.
Okay. I believe that's it. Short and sweet. It's just a sample episode, so
Yeah, most of the other anime that we saw available was generally harem stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was much more extreme too. Like at least 2 shows are like definitely fetish bait.
Right. Or I think there's one that is a reverse harem VN kind of thing.
Oh yeah, but it's like based off of an otome game. I don't know what it is. Otome game anime are like almost universally bad. Like, which to be fair, I suppose you could say the same for like galgay anime. Which is weird because like Fate falls into that category and is pretty good. I mean, the original anime was actually pretty bad, so maybe we can pass a universal judgment saying that all dating sim anime are bad.
They might and eventually get to a point where they're good.
You know what,
like Fate's
they used to be good actually
up.
Because like if Clannad is your thing, that's based off of like a galgay basically. Steins Gate was good. I don't know if that is like
true.
Necessarily categorizable as a but yeah, whatever the case. We started watching Beastars. We'll report back to you. We'll report back to you once we're done with it. But
we'll come back to you.
Man, Renu's having a great time. Renu was so prepared for everything that she witnessed.
Yeah, I walked into that.
I do think there's some interesting things about Beastars in how it uses the animal metaphor for something that isn't race for once, which is nice.
I do appreciate that, yeah.
Also, it actually puts some thought into like how an animal world would work, where like you don't just have the carnivores eating meat all the time, they have like soy burgers.
Yeah, they made them all vegetarian.
I mean, if you're gonna coexist in a society, like, we live in a society, you can't go around eating people. God, imagine if that was what society was like. I say that as if like we couldn't at any point just like cannibalize it. Don't do that. That is not permission for you to do that. Don't cannibalize. Don't do it. Cannibalism. It's bad and illegal. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let's let's wrap. That's
a great note to end on. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Listen, the metaphor is for adolescence, maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of it. Okay. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet?
Hey, man. I'm Renu, also known as Swan. Not the Swan tuber, just Swan. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter and Tumblr at Swandron. You can find me on Instagram at swan.drawn. I'm still playing through Okami.
Wow.
I'm in the ice world. I don't know how far I am in, but that's where we are. I finally have all 13 brush techniques, so that's a thing.
Nice,
maybe we're approaching the end.
Nice. Hopefully.
Yep. But we're having a good time with it. If you want to check it out, that's where I'll be. I'll be on Twitch doing that every Friday. Yep.
Cool.
What about you, buddy?
Cool. You can find me all places at Literal Soup. That's it. I mean, I exist. Kind of. I don't know. I feel like I've been barely existing. I've been busy with other stuff.
A cat.
Like Catto. Like Catto. I am Catto. So yeah. That's kind of my stuff. I like legitimately don't really have anything in the pipeline other than my terrible HoloLive addiction. It's getting to be a problem. Anyway, our opening is by Scotty Network, and our ending is by Takumakata, and the Patreons that we are going to be thanking this episode are Evan, Frostfall, Cheru, Sean, Gwen, Claire, and Magpie Mirror Test, and Figure 4. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you!
Thank you so much for your continued support. We appreciate you immensely.
See you next time. Maybe we'll have another cat by then. Who knows?
Right? God, I can only imagine.
Sayonara. また明日ね。